All right. Hello, Mentor Nation. Welcome back to the podcast. It's your host, John Abbas here, and I want to just welcome you back to the show. 2021 is here in full swing. And before I get started, I just want to share something really funny with you. I just recorded this entire intro for the episode that you're about to listen to. All of it, uploaded it, sent to the editor, ready to have him connect it to the episode when I realized that my microphone was not plugged in. So I'm having to redo it, but that's okay. I'm going to do it better and with more excitement. And I want all of you guys to be excited with me. Look, 2021 is here. It is a new year. And I hope every one of you listening are just excited to become the best versions of yourselves this year. You know, I hope that all of you have spent some time setting goals around the 4 F's, which are what I call family, finances, fitness, and faith. And my personal goal for 2021 is that this podcast plays just a small part in keeping you focused and inspired to achieve your personal goals. Now, in this first episode of the year, I wanted to bring on just 2 really incredible guests to help you focus on the fitness part. I'm just so excited, guys. I cannot wait to introduce you to Josh Evans and Anthony Mendez, and they're going to help you understand some simple tactics to get fit, stay consistent, and avoid distraction when it comes to your health in the new year. Josh and Anthony are world-class fitness coaches. They're the founders of the Sweat It Out podcast, which is one of the fastest growing fitness podcasts in the world. Guys, these gentlemen are putting out some really great content every day through social media, through their podcast. Together, they bring over 20 years of fitness experience. They've built a following of over 250,000 people just on Instagram alone. Now, I'm excited personally because, you know, as someone who values health, but sometimes I struggle with it. You know, I'm juggling family and I'm juggling business, and I'm also trying to be consistent with exercise and nutrition. Sometimes I get on track or off track. So I wanted to ask Josh and Anthony to just dive into 4 things that I've noticed that are foundations to great health: mindset, nutrition, exercise, and supplements. They shed some incredible light while clearing up some common misconceptions that I had no idea about. This is a valuable episode, guys. This is a great interview on creating a long-term, consistent strategy to feel and operate your best, and I just know you're going to enjoy it. So with that being said, please help me welcome Josh and Anthony to the show. All right, we're live. Josh, Anthony, welcome, guys, to the Mentor Nation podcast. I've been really looking forward to this interview since I was first connected with you guys. And so it's just great to have you on the show. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, we really appreciated the opportunity.
Absolutely. And this is my first interview with 2 people, so it's going to be double the value today. So thank you.
We've had a couple of those.
Yeah, we've already had a few. We're like, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a very interesting dynamic, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I listened to a lot of you guys' episodes just researching for this one, and you guys totally complement each other. And so 50 episodes in, this will be my first having 2. So yeah, it's going to be fun. And for those listening to this episode, I just want to give the audience a heads up. You know, you guys are world-class fitness coaches, but so much more than that. You guys have built an incredible brand. It's growing like crazy. You have a podcast called the Sweat It Out podcast that just gives so much value for those that are trying to live a better, a healthier, a more confident life. Anthony, I looked at your Instagram, man. You have like 250,000 followers.
Oh, he's a beast.
Just on Instagram. And so I'm really excited to learn a little bit in the beginning about how you built that brand. But I was wondering if it's okay with you if we focus the interview after that on just your best advice for implementing sustainable long-term habits when it comes to health and fitness. I made a post a week ago and I let everyone know that I have just 2 world-class fitness coaches that have built a great brand that you're going to be on here. What are some of the questions that you would like me to ask them? And I got a big list. And so I want to rapid fire them off. But before we do that, could you guys just share a little bit about your backgrounds and how you created Sweat It Out and how you've grown that into what it is today?
I'll kind of kick things off.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So my name's Josh Evans. Obviously, I am a strength and conditioning coach here based in Miami, Florida. I got my start, just kind of like Anthony, and I'm sure he'll kind of, double down on this is, we were both unhealthy, overweight kids growing up. He played sports, I played sports, but it's not always easy for overweight kids to kind of get through and feel popular and feel confident and do all that stuff. So, at least for me, and I've heard his story a bunch too. He could back this up. It really drove me to only enjoy like playing sports and being in the weight room. Those were really the only times I could feel like I had an outlet for myself. So, the most comfortable place for me was the gym, because then I could perform better on the field. And that drove me to, want to train athletes. I got my bachelor's and master's degree in exercise science from Syracuse and Florida Atlantic University, respectfully. From there, got my start at Equinox, just like Anthony, about 2015. And then 2.5-3 years ago, started my own brand, The Movement Coach, and the rest has been history.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and for me, by the way, hey guys, Anthony Mendez here. So Josh kind of hit on some stuff, off the bat that we have pretty relatable. So yeah, us, being young, unhealthy, like I'd like to say our fat boy days.
Yeah.
which don't get me wrong.
Oh, we were thick.
And we can still throw it down.
Yeah.
But going back to those days, it's, I gotta say, if it wasn't for sports, I don't even know where I would be.
Right.
But that was a catapult, to leading to where I was, leading to where I am today and leading to the career I took in fitness coaching, was sports, and realizing one of the injuries I had going through the rehabilitation made me realize that I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people get back in shape and, perform at an optimal level again. And that really opened up my eyes to the career path of coaching. And from there, I worked with multiple gyms, Bally's, LA Fitness, Equinox. And at Equinox, that's where actually me and Josh connected for the first time about 7 years ago. And what separated me after was the fact that I really put a lot of time into social media for a good 6 to 7 years hard while I was at Equinox. And, things really catapulted me for me from there. I started doing a ton of workout videos, tips. And I would use a lot of the different scenic areas in Miami, different styles of unconventional training that would really hit and grab a lot of attention for people, because at that time, not many people knew about it. And it was fairly, it existed, but it was fairly new when it comes to social media to see those kind of movements. So really helped me catapult, and as well collaborating with a lot of individuals, started growing my name. And I realized I had something there. I realized that this was an opportunity for me to be able to expand. So, certain things happened at Equinox. We didn't agree on certain things. So I took the leap of faith and I left, thank God. And
Preach.
And from there, literally it's been an inclination of growth. I opened up my own gym with some other buddies from Equinox. We had it for about 1 year and 3 months. Things went sour when the owner sold it to another business owner, so we left out of that. But during this whole process, and the reason I'm saying this, because I never stopped doing the social media. Right. And thank God I never did. So from there, I got the opportunity to become an athlete for Puma. Puma reached out to me. They sent me an email. At first, I didn't think it was real. I literally sat on it for a few days. And then finally, I did some research. And I was like, okay, they're real. So thank God they were patient with me. So I responded. And, I've been a Puma athlete for about 3 years now. Loving it. I'm doing some amazing things with the brand. And from there, I've kept growing and did my online fitness coaching, slowly started moving away from, in person, still had a few. And it wasn't until like a little bit before COVID hit that I started making a transition into wanting to do business coaching. And that's where I saw a gap in the industry, where I was like, there's a lot of health and fitness coaches. Online is starting to, stream off and take off. And I'm getting a lot of attention from coaches who need help, who are asking me questions. How did you build your following? How are you doing well coaching online? How is it that you did this? So I was like, man, there's a market here. And I really love the social media aspect. I love the business aspect of coaching. So, when COVID really hit, I was like, whoa, this is this is what I need to fully dive into, not
Right.
just do a little bit. I need to fully dive into the business coaching. This is what I want to do. So I shifted everything and I put all my energy into the business coaching, and that's what I've been doing hardcore since. And it's just amazing being able to help a whole bunch of health and fitness coaches to, be able to leverage their social media, optimize it to the biggest potential possible. So that way they can have a successful online business generating 6 figures or more a year. And that is what I'm primarily focusing on right now.
Been crushing it.
And of course,
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And it's funny. And before we get into the main topic here, I was watching one of your videos, Anthony, and this is one of the things that really impressed me about both of you as a philosophy. It was your video that was, it was actually really funny. It was like, don't be a 60-year-old trainer. And I really like that video, but I wanted to have you talk about it for just a minute, because that formula applies to so many people that I know that listen to this podcast. Is how do I get out of this rat race of one-to-one? Because you can't really use leverage. You can't scale. And you guys have done that through social media. And so I just want to have you just share that philosophy really quick that was in that video, because I know a lot of people are going to listen to this and they're just like, man, how do I get out of this one-to-one? Because I'm just confined by my own time and I can't escape. Like, how do you begin to do that?
100%, and off the bat, I want to say is everybody has to look at online being a tool. It's a great tool to use. It's a tool that everybody should be using. And this is me, I know you mentioned one-on-one, but this is one thing I believe in the fitness industry. We talked about a lot of time. One-on-one, I think is going to take off after all of this. I think one-on-one's always going to be relevant. You can't take that away. And I think boutique gyms are going to do very, very well, especially if they implement a hybrid model, doing half in person, half online. And I think the ones that are going to suffer more are the big box gyms, which you can see already. So one-on-one's always going to be relevant. So what I say is online is an amazing tool for those one-on-one coaches, or for other coaches who want to slowly leave the one-on-one field, right, to utilize this as another tool. It doesn't have to mean you got to replace your business currently, your one-on-one business. Or if you do, then you can. But it's just understanding it's a tool that everybody should have. So as a coach doing one-on-one, if that's your only offer, as you can see, COVID took away that offer.
That's right.
So you should have multiple offers, guys. Now in today's world, it's the saying that goes, if you're only doing one job or one business, you're going to fail. You need to now have multiple side hustles. You need to have something else going on for you. Even somebody's working a 9 to 5 usually says, oh, I'm working on this side project. Why? Because in today's world, things are getting more expensive.
Yep.
Things are getting faster. Tech is growing. Things are advancing. Like, it's not like it was before, and things aren't as well. How do I want to put it? Nothing's secure. Right. Nothing is secure. That's right. So it's not like back in the day in the industrial age where you can get, a job, and even with our parents and our grandparents, you get a job, you can stay there for 20, 30, 40 years, have a nice retirement, a pension, and you're good to go. It's not how it works anymore. You have to be creative. You have to put yourself out there. You have to gain exposure, and it's about building that personal brand. So with the online, presence, is what I tell, coaches now is, if you don't want to be that 6-year-old trainer, you have to start taking the right steps now. And some people might feel it's too late, but it's not. Yes, social has been around, Facebook and Instagram have been around for 10, 15 years, but believe it or not, things are still at its infancy. People are still so new to it, still getting, their feet wet with it. When you're going to see the gap starting to close is going to be like 2025 is when you should already start worrying, where if I'm not on it, I'm going to really start falling back, because then new technology is going to come out. Maybe a new type of social media or something that's completely different than social comes out, and now you have to move over to that. But for those right now, you need to take advantage of social media and online, because it's going to help you as a coach not to burn out. It's going to help you to not worry about, oh my God, I can't take a vacation, and because I'm not going to get paid, and then have to come back and have to, front load all my sessions and get extra sessions so I can make that money up. Or if I get sick, I'm screwed, So these kind of tools allow you to be anywhere you want. First of all, you could take your business anywhere. You can literally be, if you want, on vacation, they could be taking your pre-recorded programs.
That's right.
And you don't even have to worry about working with them.
Absolutely.
Or let's say if you wanted to, and you just said, hey, on my vacation, I'll do 2 hours in the morning where I can just do a follow-up with them. You could take that with you. You don't have to worry about being there in person, so there's different amazing ways to leverage this online business that's going to allow you to, scale. And on top of that, it just gives your client another way to access you, and another way for them to have an accessory to what you're already doing with them if you're training with them one-on-one. Because now if your client travels, there's no excuse. Your client can still continue to work with you, and you can still continue to get paid for that as well.
Absolutely. And this applies to any industry. I mean,
for sure.
there's no excuse not to be able to create a lifestyle for yourself with the tools and the technology out there. It's just getting in the mindset of, how can I replicate myself and what I teach so that it's not just one-to-one, it's one-to-many. And I can serve a lot of people, not in person, but through many different avenues. And so I love that. I'm really glad that you said that. And to kind of transition, so I made this post and I got a lot of questions. Some were kind of stupid questions, so I didn't put them in there. But what I realized is a lot of the questions revolved around 4 things. And that's, I wanted to kind of take them in sequence. First was mindset. Second is nutrition. Third is exercise. And fourth is supplementation. And so I wanted to start with mindset because that's the foundation of everything when it comes to fitness. And, having to get to know my audience over the last, almost year that this podcast has been live, a lot of them are just like me, entrepreneurial. Health is important, but it's the consistency that we struggle with sometimes. And so my first question is, when you guys get a new client and they want to be more fit, they're willing to be coachable, what are some of the mindset things that you take them through at the very beginning in like that first coaching session?
Well, first, you really have to set a level of expectation, right?
Yep.
So what do people really expect that they're going to get out of whatever program you're about to put them through or that they're about to go through, right? Whether it be 6, 9, 12 weeks, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, right? What do you really think is going to happen within that time period?
Yep.
Right? Because what most people think, they have very lofty goals, right? And the work ethic behind those goals, because, like you said, people get busy, right? Like stuff comes up from time to time, even with us.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into account when you're setting these expectations, right? Like, how busy is my schedule, right? Am I traveling? Like, I have clients here in Miami that travel 2 weeks out of every month. Obviously not right now during COVID, but before,
Right.
like every 2 weeks, every other 2 weeks, they were gone, so I had to take that into account when I talked about their program. Like, do you have a hotel gym? Like all of these factors go into setting those expectations. And then it comes down to like, why are you really doing this? Right? Like, everyone says, oh, because I want to look fit, or I want to feel better, or I want to move better, I want to fit in my clothes better. It's like, okay, that's a surface level response.
Right.
We need to dig a lot deeper, right? Ask why maybe 7 or 8 or 10 times as follow-up questions until you really dig deep enough and you come to something that's more of a deeper emotional response to the question.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I had a really great coach at the gym that I go to right now, and he did the same thing. He asked me why, and what I came up with after he asked me like 10 times was, my dad had his first heart attack at age 36, and I want to be there for my 3 kids and
Which
not
is
have
amazing,
to have them
for sure.
worry about health issues. And it's crazy because at first, you're right, I was like, well, I just, I want to look good in the mirrar. And he's like, no. Why?
Yeah. And it kind of sounds annoying, right? But it helps, but it helps a lot. Like I know, I like look at all these people. I'm like, I understand that this is really tedious and I keep asking the same question, but we got to get to that point.
That's right.
Because that's what's going to really, like, you're going to remember that your 3 kids are looking at you. Right. You're not going to remember, oh, well, I told myself I wanted to lose 5 pounds because this little area, when I sit down, like, I have a little, I get a little, you're not going to remember that,
That's right.
But you're going to remember, like, well, my son and my daughter are looking at me, when I cook breakfast, or if I don't cook breakfast, what I'm picking, like, it affects them.
That's right.
It's very true.
Yeah, I love that. So for somebody struggling with consistency, and there may not be a perfect answer here, but are there any tools, tricks, anything that you recommend, maybe documenting, like what do you do for somebody that maybe they are like traveling all the time, or they just struggle with consistency, their schedule's different every single day? Like what little hacks do you recommend for somebody like that?
You're the king of schedule optimization here, so take it away, buddy. Take it away.
So I'll definitely say off the bat, it's first of all, you got to be, like you said, aware of your situation. So creating that awareness around like, okay, what kind of person am I? What are the things that I do? And what are going to be the best tools for me to use? There's so many different tools out there, and it's kind of finding the ones that are going to help you to optimize, your schedule, your time, the things you need to do, so, it's as simple as even starting with setting reminders on your phone, setting reminders.
I'm huge on that.
Yeah. Creating a task sheet on your notes,
calendar, everything.
Calendar, everything. And
Right.
That's what I tell people all the time is that, in your calendar, most likely you're going to have your phone. So you definitely want to link everything to your phone, which is business related, health related, relationship related, even your me time, personal time. You want to implement everything to the T on your calendar. If you look at most high performers and successful individuals, they'll literally even put like, okay, breakfast. Now it's going to be time to answer my emails, meeting, bathroom, gym, so literally
you laugh, but it's true though.
Yeah,
it's true though.
Really helps. Like it really helps because what happens is in your mind, when you see little gaps open, you're like, okay, what do I do now? I don't know.
I'll just get on Facebook.
Yeah. I'll just get on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Let me just scroll a little bit. And next, you're like, oh shit. I wasted all this time. I was supposed to do this. So anything that's what I say is anything that's important to you, you jot it down, and anything that's crap, you cut it out. So, what's important, put it down, cut the crap out, take it out, so another great thing that you can do is if there's things in your schedule that you can either eliminate, automate, or hand off, do that. So what I mean by that is, number one, eliminate. If it doesn't serve you, take it out immediately. Right. If you can automate it, meaning you can put it on automation, do that. So I'll give you an example. Let's say bill payments. Let's say you do groceries. How long does it take you to go to the grocery store and come back? Probably an hour to an hour and a half.
That's
so
right.
Why don't you instead go to Whole Foods or Amazon, the Amazon Instacart, and all these different supermarkets have it now where you can literally do delivery, set up a delivery. You kind of have an idea really of what you got to eat and what you like on a monthly basis, and just have it automated, sent to you. Now you have an hour to an hour and a half open to get in extra time to whatever it is that you need. If it's your workouts, time with your partner or with your kids or yourself, you can plug and play that time. So whatever you can see that you can automate it on your schedule. And then handing off. If you can hand off these tasks to somebody else that can help you, then great. Tedious stuff. Maybe have your assistant do emails, answer your voicemails, or, look at your social media and help you, respond to certain people, maybe handing off other miscellaneous tasks, cleaning your house. Maybe you hire somebody to clean your house and do these little things for you, so those are ways that you can open up more time slots to be able to implement the things that are important for you. And then most important, lastly, is whatever is most important for you, you need to respect it. So I tell my clients all the time, if you don't respect your schedule doesn't respect you. So if it's important and you put it down, don't change it for anything. So if you literally put, and this could be as simple as like, you put that you're going to have your breakfast at this time. I don't care if, your client or this meeting that randomly popped up wants to take up, that's your breakfast time. That's important for you. You're going to take time to eat your breakfast. And the same thing goes for your workout. Hey, look, I'm sorry. You tell your a client who's trying to take that time. Hey, look, I'm sorry, but I have that time blocked off right now. This is what I have available. And when you can take control of that, you'll see your clients will have more respect for you. You will feel better. You're not going to be as anxious, because if you do remove that workout or whatever it is that was important for you to fill something in, later you're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't get my workout in, or why did I do this? Oh my God, I didn't do it. And now you're stressing out, you're feeling bad, but that's your fault. You didn't have to move it, so respect it. And I'm telling you, when you can do that, you're going to really optimize your life on a whole nother level.
Anyone who's ever run a business knows those feelings, right? Like those, I wasn't able to get to work. Like that's not a good feeling to have, right?
That's right.
One of our favorite quotes here is, discipline equals freedom by Jocko Willink, right? Like it's so true though. It sounds like it takes so much time to set your schedule. it really does it. And it frees you from having to think about any of that stuff. So you actually have more time throughout your day to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Man, I love that. I love what you said about the schedule. Brad Lee, I had him on the podcast early on. He has this podcast called Dropping Bombs. And I wish I had that button, right? Anytime somebody says something valuable, he's like, boo, and he hits this button and it's like this big bomb going. I just think it's the most hilarious thing, but that's so valuable. And I know Ed Milet always says that, he's like, get to your day before your day gets to you. And it's saying the exact same thing that you said. And so shifting gears from mindset into nutrition, I really want to spend a few minutes here because, man, and you guys have said this on your own podcast, there's a lot out there for nutrition and it's all contradictory. Some say count your macros is most important. Some say monitoring calorie intake and making sure you have a calorie deficit. Some say keto diet, paleo diet. And so like, not to get into what's best, but like, what's your overall philosophy on nutrition that you cover with clients? Because I know everybody's body type, everything's different, but like, what's kind of like your overarching philosophy that you try to get people to understand when it comes to just diet, nutrition, and eating?
Well, there's no one size fits all, right? First and foremost, you can't, and this is where a lot of people get into trouble, right? Is that they go off of, oh, well, my friend said this, or I read this in a magazine. It's like, well, what context are they giving you?
Right.
In terms of your own life, like they don't know your medical history. They don't know your likes and dislikes. So, and it's funny too, because you said like a lot of people count their macros. I had a client that spent an hour every single day for 5 years writing in MyFitnessPal. You know how much time out of her life that was?
Stressful.
An enormous amount of days out of her life just writing in is that worth it to know like, okay, well, I got 75 grams of protein. Like, okay, so if you get 70, does your life really change that much? Like,
right.
Probably not.
Look,
right?
guys, if you're not competing for a bodybuilding competition, probably don't need to be.
No, portion control is really the big thing. And when you look at all of these different diets, I don't care if it's keto, I don't care if it's carnivore, I don't care if you're vegan. I mean, there are moral reasons behind things, right? So if you feel like you don't want to be part of the killing of animals, which, we don't need to get into, but that's all fine and dandy. You can do that. If you like to eat meat, you can eat meat. The big thing is the underlying foundation of all of these different diets, right, is a few things. Portion control, right? Which if you want to lose weight, the only thing that really matters, I don't care what anyone tells you, the only thing that really matters is, did you eat less calories than you burned? That's it. It sounds so simple, but it's so true. It's 100% true.
Absolutely.
So reduction of calories, right? Most likely drinking more water. Most of them tell you to drink more water. Most of them, except for like really carnivore would be a big one that doesn't. A lot of vegetables and some fruit probably, right? And understanding hunger cues. Like if you can do those few things, then you can pick and select when you want to eat what you want to eat, right? Like there are days where I go higher carb. There are days where I go lower carb. There are days where I don't eat until 2 p.m. or there are days where I eat at 9 a.m. It all depends on what I'm able to do. But the big thing that you want to try to understand about nutrition is that it doesn't need to be stressful. Like we always say it shouldn't be stressful to be healthy.
Man, it's so good to hear that. When you say hunger cues, can you elaborate a little more about that? Like obviously when you feel hungry, I'm assuming it's like what you do in that moment. Like what do you mean by that?
So I'll use myself as an example. I'm a bored eater, right? When I'm bored at home, right? If I'm just like on the weekend, I don't want to be on my computer doing work or whatever. I'm flipping through Netflix. You can guarantee you around me are a plethora of snacking options.
Don't forget the candy.
I'm a big candy guy. I like candy. That's my kryptonite. But candy, popcorn, it doesn't matter. So I need to understand, like when I have photo shoots or videos that I need to shoot for companies, like I need to look a certain type of way to give off the vibe that is needed for the content. If I'm not aware that I'm bored, right? Or like when I get stressed, sometimes I eat, or I might not eat, So am I stressed out? Am I dehydrated? Do I need to drink more water? Right? All of these little cues throughout your day trigger your hunger. So just because it's a comfort thing for a lot of people, right? So if you're stressed out or you're bored, right? Okay, well, what's one thing that's so easy to find nowadays that's comforting? Food, right? So if you're trying to lose weight and in order to lose weight, you need to eat less calories than you're burning, then you need to be aware of all of these different triggers that cause you to be hungry or think that you're hungry.
If you drink enough water too, you're not going to be as hungry either. So it's going to force you not to have that overload on food. Because you're feeling much fuller. So
we go through like 15 of these a day.
It's insane. We're running back and forth, getting some water all the time. But it's so simple. Like Josh, it's about not stressing yourself out.
Right.
It's about listening to your body.
What's my shirt say?
Drink more water.
I love that. It's funny, and I don't recommend anybody do this, but it worked for me. Is I would actually go, because I like to run, and I would actually bring like a Twix bar and just put it on the treadmill, and I would run until I burned off that, and I'm just like, holy shit, I have to run 2 fucking miles. Mm-hmm. To burn this little ass piece of candy. I'm like, okay,
that's awareness, right? Like that's bringing a greater understanding to the cost, the cost of that candy bar. Like more than it just costing like $1.70, right? Like it's 350 calories.
It's insane. Packing that little tiny thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to exercise, and this is where I got most of the questions that people had is just on exercise, because I think a lot of people mess it up. They don't know how little, how much, what to do, what's more important. So the first question that I got was weights versus cardio. What's more important? Do you need to do both every day? Like, what's like the philosophy on that?
Again, if you're trying to lose weight, I would say more lifting weights, and in general, right? More lifting weights than cardio. Not saying that cardio isn't bad. You need cardio in order to be more efficient in whatever you're doing, right? Like if you want to be more efficient at lifting weights, you need to be more efficient at utilizing oxygen and expelling CO2 from your body, waste product. You get that through a more efficient cardiovascular system, right? So the thing, a reason how do I want to phrase this? A big misconception is that our body is segmented, right? Like it's been so ingrained that bodybuilder mentality, biceps and triceps, but it's extrapolated out into every different aspect of health and nutrition, right? So instead of thinking about everything as like a part, think of it as a sum. It's one whole thing. So your cardiovascular system feeds into your ability to be strong and durable and pliable and mobile and flexible, right? Because you're able to do more work. And be more efficient at your recovery process as well, right? So there's a balance between them. But if I had to pick, like if you put a gun to my head and made me pick one, I'd pick weights every single time.
To get this man to run?
That's absolutely. And the reason I ask is I know for me personally, when I'm on a treadmill running, there's a counter. I can count how many calories I've burned, but when I'm lifting, I have no idea
how accurate that is as well.
That's the
yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So think about it this way, right? And I'll just kind of give you rough numbers, because again, right, you got to think of everything as a whole. So it's not just about the workout; it's also about the recovery process after the workout, right? So, and again, these are very rough numbers, so no one who's going to be listening to this don't hold it over my head. But when you do, let's say you run 2 miles, you burn 200 calories, right? After that workout, for you to recover from that 2 mile run might take you 6 hours, right? In that 6 hour period, you might burn another 200 calories recovering from the run, right? So in total, you over that, however long it took you to run in the 6 hours after, you burned 400 calories. That's the whole recovery process for the cardiovascular system. When you strength train, you might only burn, again, right? We'll just use it for the term the conversation. You might only burn 150 calories, right? So less than what you thought you burned in the cardio run. But over the next 36 hours or 48 hours that it takes you to recover, right, you might burn another 450 calories. So really, over the workout and the recovery process, you burn almost 600 calories, right? So you actually burn more calories from strength training than from running on the treadmill.
I have never heard anybody say that before. That's awesome. Like I had no idea. So my next question is, let's say that you are a busy entrepreneur or just whatever. You have 20 minutes a day to work out. What would you do in that time? How would you allot that time?
Work out for 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Optimize it as best as, and be intentional with the 20 minutes. Don't eat shit. Like really be intentional.
Right. Don't be on your phone, but 20 minutes is way better than 0 minutes, way better than 0 minutes. Because that 20 minutes, even if listen, I set my watch for 30 minutes and I did my warm up, my 20-minute workout and my cool down within 30 minutes because that's all I had today.
And then another thing too, like I think for, especially you mentioned busy entrepreneurs, like listen to your body too. The same thing with the cues with the food, like listen to your body. Did you have a very stressful day? Were you very anxious? Are you not feeling too well? Are you not at your best? Listen to your body because maybe you had a plan going into that workout with a specific routine, but that routine might have to change because your body's not ready to accept that stress load. So you need to adapt at the moment.
Not every workout you go into has to be the prelim for the CrossFit Open.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I love that. The next question I got was, how does your philosophy on exercise change as you get older? Is there a different mindset in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? Like,
oh yeah,
100%.
Should be.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Like what changes as you get, is it more stretching? Is it less, like what's kind of like, how do you coach people differently depending on the decade?
I would say, well, most of the people I think we train are within that age range anyway, right? So again, when you're younger, it's a lot easier to take, we'll just call them risks, right? Like you can be a little more free with what you're doing. You can be a little more careless with your form, right? You're probably a lot more athletic than you are in your 40s and 50s.
Right.
So there's a lot more wiggle room for things to go wrong and you to be okay. But as you start to age and we start to move in these continual patterns, right? These revolving doors, like are my clients that travel. That means they're constantly sitting in Ubers. They're constantly sitting on planes. They're constantly sitting in hotel rooms, sitting in desks like this, right? All day. I mean, we complain all the time about how much our hips hurt now that we're doing so many podcasts.
So we stand up training.
I get up. I'm like,
now we're like, oh shit. And that's how we still work out and stuff.
So you have to have a different mindset as you get older because your goals should change, right? Like my goals, like I'm 20, I just turned 29. Like my goals when I was 22 was like be super athletic and be ripped and, be able to lift a lot of weight. And, I used to compete in powerlifting and now it's more about like, can I wake up and feel good? Can I make sure that I'm able to work out every day? Like I don't need to be the most sore I've ever been in my entire life anymore. That's not the goal. My goal is to just like get up, be able to work out, be able to coach my clients, be able to come in here and do podcasts day in and day out, and that's what your goal should revolve around, right? It's like the whole reason we created the gym setting in the first place, right, was because we stopped being so active outdoors. We started working more in factories and working more in office spaces during the Industrial Revolution. We needed an outlet to move in.
We're not hunting. We're not running.
Exactly.
Around.
We're hunter and gatherers, essentially.
Yeah.
Less farming.
So we needed to create a place where we could do that, right? Recess for kids, right? It's unfortunate that that's being dissolved out of the, education system, but we needed that outlet. So you need to, instead of thinking about being so strong or like, oh, I need to have an 8-pack like the guys on Instagram, like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, the lifestyle that's required in order to have an 8-pack 300 days out of the year,
right,
is not worth the social, what's a good way to put it? Like
image that you're trying to portray.
Right,
I guess.
right.
Yeah.
And the seclusion that really comes from that. Like you go out to eat with your friends, no drinking, no drinking.
So now you're overstressed.
You're not really eating the fun things that are on the menu. If you're going out at all, you're going to bed at 8 p.m. You know, you're waking up at 4.
It's too extreme.
No,
and is it worth that extra 5-10 pounds?
And
like,
another thing too, like
no.
I like to tell people all the time, like, are you training for the short term or the long term? You know,
exactly.
It's about the longevity of your life. You know, do you want to live a long, pain levels where, like Josh, you can go and enjoy and not feel bad because you had a glass of wine or a dessert or a meal that you enjoy, that you liked, but at the same time you still maintain yourself healthy, you can move well, you're pain-free, you can pick up your child from the floor without hurting, and you can run after them, you know, get on the floor without, oh my God, I can't even get to the floor and back up. Like, those are the things when you start thinking about as you grow, as the quality of what you're doing, and as you know, these are the goals that I want to be able to achieve as I get older, especially where you see in the older population with this, you know, seniors, you know, to even ask them to get on the floor, they're freaking out.
I mean, how many elderly people do you know that need assistance getting up out of a chair or sitting into a chair?
Right.
You know, like
lots.
I always tell my clients, our goals in the gym and in the kitchen should only enhance everything else you want to do with your life. If the answer isn't yes to that question, we're not doing it.
Yep.
Right. We're not doing it.
And then another thing too, like another saying that I like to say is, if you don't change your environment will change you. So also be very cognizant of the environment around you. I know some of the stuff that Josh said, but how often are you sitting? You know, is the seat you're sitting on as well really bad compared to another seat where maybe you might need to swap it out? Is the bed you're sleeping in over 10 years old?
Thank God we got comfy chairs.
Yeah, right? Is the bed you're sleeping over 10 years old? You got to get yourself a new bed so that way you have better quality of sleep. You know, maybe you're sitting too much working. How about you get a standing desk? Like little tiny things like that can also create change in your body and in your health, and also the way you perform during your exercises and in your everyday life.
Absolutely. And you said something, I think, Josh, you said, man, it's so true. It just sucks what's happening in schools with kids. You know,
it's terrible, man.
It's more about iPads and iPhones and just and less about going outside. It's like it's such a shame in that arena. Obviously a lot of things have gotten better quality of life, but I think that's one thing that's just went so far downhill. And I'm glad you pointed that out. My last question on exercise, the question that I got is, how important is stretching before and after a workout? How much time should you spend doing it? Like, what's your advice on that?
So the research of, and again, this kind of gets watered down with the definition of what stretching really is, right? Like passive stretching versus active dynamic stretching. Like we've all heard of dynamic warm-ups, right? Well, all that is actively stretching the muscle and getting more blood flow and getting more a greater temperature increase to the working muscle that you're going to use.
Show us an example right now. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. We can't.
Passive stretching is when it's like, okay, I'm going to go touch my toes. You know, I'm going to go touch my toes and I'm going to hold it there for a couple of minutes. All that really does is increase your ability to hold and handle the sensation of the stretch, right? Like if you static stretch for 30 minutes a day, you don't magically get taller, right? Your muscles don't lengthen. It's our bodies are these like intricate. It's almost like a trunk of a car, right? Like when you and your family are going on a road trip, you're packing that trunk in, right? And then you're like leaning on it and sitting on it, trying to get it closed. That's what's going on inside of our bodies, right? It's like it's so intricately packed and spiraled through. There's so many moving parts that all interconnect and play with each other that you have to, again, think about it, as I said before, right, as like more of a holistic thing. And it's interesting when you hear about flexibility, because everyone's like, oh, I want to be flexible. What you really want to be is mobile, right? You want to be able to actively move your joints, right? Like, I don't really care if Anthony can take my arm and put it behind my head. I care if I can take my arm and
That's
I
right,
can put
by
it behind my
yourself.
head, right? And that's mobility, right? Again, more of the active component of stretching. So people should focus more on being mobile than being flexible. And again, flexibility is part of mobility. If you're stiff as a board, it's going to be hard to move in and out of these positions. But over time, working your active mobility will help
For sure.
you feel better overall.
And injury prevention too.
Yeah.
You know, like especially going into your workout and after your workout, like decompressing your body as well. You know, you want to use these things to recover properly. And at the end of the day, it's going to be the enhancement of your workout. You're going to get a better workout. You're going to get more results out of your workout. You're going to have a better experience, and you're going to prevent yourself from getting hurt in the long run when you do this over and over again.
Our warm-ups and cool downs take more time than our actual strength training.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's important. That's important to know.
Like we spend like 20, maybe 15, 20 minutes warming up and cooling down. And then another maybe 20, 25 actually strength training.
And I've heard, and maybe you can validate, like you actually burn calories when you're stretching and you're warming up. I mean, it's more than I think people would think. Is that true?
Especially if you're stiff.
I mean, if you're alive, you're burning calories, right? Like if you're sleeping, you're burning calories. You're always burning calories, right? Unless you're dead, then it doesn't matter. Then it doesn't matter anymore. But if you're moving, you're burning calories. So the more you move and the more you move with quality, right? Again, like there's a big difference between haphazardly. We've all seen the people in the gym. They just walk right up the steps. They go right to the dumbbells and they just start doing curls, right? It's there's a big difference between like some dudes swinging 45-pound dumbbells doing curls and me like actively focused, right? As Anthony said before, intentionally, right? Focused on what I'm doing. I'm going to get a lot more out of that. I'm going to burn a lot more calories and I'm going to be a lot safer.
Yep. And if you're swinging, you might only be getting 20%, workload compared to actually concentrating and being intentional with it, and what you're doing.
Awesome. I love that. My last few questions are revolving around supplementation. I know there's a lot of hype, misconception, just a ton of crap out there. And so I would love to give your philosophy. The first question is, to your average entrepreneur, not your bodybuilder, but, to your average person, busy, family, work, who wants to stay healthy overall, like what are some of the most important supplements that you think most everybody should take, or are there any?
So I'll tell you number one, and I know Josh was going to add on a lot, but I'll tell you first thing is there's a word, the word supplementation.
You stole it right out of my mouth.
Says everything. Mm-hmm. It's you're supplementing something.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Guys, if you don't need to do that, please don't do it. Like you should get all the minerals and nutrients from your food.
Whole
food
groups.
Yes.
Not Whole Foods, whole food group.
So you don't have to go to the expensive whole foods,
paycheck.
But
whole paycheck.
Whole foods. Because guys, that's where you're really going to get the benefits. Sups are made where?
Labs.
Yep. Labs. It's not food. So where you're going to get your highest return on results and quality is going to be from the food itself and production when you work out and go throughout your daily life. So, honestly, like subs, like I don't even, honestly, I think at most I might every once in a while have a protein and pretty much it. Like I don't really focus on taking supplements, because we get so much of our nutrition from our food that's more than enough. And that's what you should focus on. So, for anybody out there, like promoting subs,
we do sell Herbalife though. No, I'm kidding. We don't sell Herbalife.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
Yeah. He was dead on with that. It is a supplement to fill in the cracks that your regular diet cannot, right? Like if I can't eat a real meal because I'm in between training clients or coaching people or whatever, I'll have a protein shake with me, right? Because if I need to get a protein shake is way better than me not eating and being starved and then binging at 8 p.m. because I haven't eaten all day, right? So there are a time and a place for everything. If you do want to supplement, right, there's some tried and true ones. Whey protein. If you are vegan, then you can go with a plant-based option. But if you're not vegan, highly suggest whey protein if your stomach can handle it as well, because it is a lactose product, right? So it is a cow derivative. So you got to think about that. But some sort of protein supplementation, you're probably not eating as much protein as you think you are. And you need to ingest adequate protein in order to rebuild your muscle.
So you mentioned the other day, how many times are these proteins actually packed with fillers?
Right.
And
and that's another thing, right? The quality of your supplementation needs to be met as well before you just start like randomly going to do different things, because a lot of times these supplement companies will make a giant protein tub.
And it's expensive,
but it's like 20 grams of protein. It's like, okay, well, I have a scooper the size of my fist.
Yes.
Like that's 130 grams. What are the other 111 grams if only 20 are protein?
Chocolate flavoring.
Right. Like, oh, we added, dextrin, which is like sugar, they add all this other stuff in here. So you have to understand where it's coming from. Like with anything, right? You have to understand the sourcing, but protein supplementation, some sort of fish oil, right? Super important for memory and focus and brain health and development. What's another good one? I think if you want to take BCAAs now they're starting to kind of say like, oh, does it really help? Does it not help? If you want to take them, great. If you don't want to take them out, creatine's another good one. And no, it doesn't make you gain weight. Creatine does not make you gain weight. It's a giant misconception. Creatine is an energy source your body uses. You naturally produce creatine phosphate in order to use energy inside of your cells. So if you want to take creatine, you can. It will help with energy production, but it's not going to help you build muscle, and it's not going to help you gain weight.
And another thing, guys, like also to listen to your body again. Like not everybody's going to react the same to these supplements,
right?
Even to food as well. So listen to your body. Take on a notebook. Like, okay, I felt good about this. I felt bloated about this. Like this gave me gas.
And with normal food too, right?
Energy.
Like you have to be intuitive on what you're putting into your body, right? Because everyone is different. Everyone is different.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, Anthony, because there's it's wild. I ordered this test where it tests you for like 50 different types of food. And I was really surprised at some of the things I was allergic to. And that leads me to a personal question. I'm very highly allergic to seafood. And so is there an omega-3 alternative that you would recommend or that you know about if you can't have fish oil?
That's a good question. Not off the top of my head, and I don't want to give you an answer. I don't even use normal fish oil, right? I use a product called krill oil, which is I don't know if you can take that, and because it's a much less developed organism. I don't know if that'll affect you the same. I don't know if you've ever tried that or not, but
also another thing too, like I was gonna say,
I don't want you like having to stick yourself with an EpiPen either,
which is exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
It's
when it comes to foods too, like another thing to understand is also where you're getting the source from. And the reason I'm saying that is because sometimes too, we may think we're allergic to things, but it's actually the pesticides that is stuck to some of the foods that's actually causing the allergic reaction. So sometimes it may not be the food. It might be the actual, pesticide sprays and chemicals they're putting on the food. So also comparing and saying, okay, I got let's say it's just fruits. So I got these strawberries from here and I got these from here. Oh my God, I had a completely different reaction when I ate the ones from here. Well, it's probably because these were a lot cleaner, probably had very minimal to no pesticides, while these were packed with that shit. And that's why you're feeling that way, and getting an allergic reaction. And then another thing to keep in mind is this comes with subs and food. Like if you see the label has a ton of shit on it, you probably want to avoid it. The less there is, the better it is what I always say. No, probably the simplest way to look at
stay on the outside of the grocery store.
That too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. Like all of the middle aisles are terrible for you. My final question on supplementation is how important is the quality of steroids that you take in your 20s? I'm just kidding.
Sorry. I was like,
he's like, wait. Josh is like, wait.
I get these questions though. You laugh, but some of my clients are like, should I take the sauce?
So
no.
Josh, are you gonna pinch my ass cheeks later or what?
I can do it right now if you want.
Oh, that's hilarious. By the way, I love the little props that you guys have on your table.
Oh, thanks,
Captain
yeah.
Crunch. Like cereal for
Oh,
me
yeah.
is like my kryptonite.
Well, these are
These are
like specially made by this by this artist. They're like this one says like obesos. They're like a mock on. They're like a mock on all of the bad things that we all loved as children.
That is so hilarious. So guys, this has been, I really can't even tell you how helpful, like just how many myths, some things, so many things that I had no idea about. And, just things that it's so good to talk to somebody that doesn't have an incentive to give you advice, right? Like, I mean, just everything from supplementation to exercise. I mean, it was so helpful. And so I want to finish off by just, for everybody listening that loves this, what is the best way for them to follow your content? If they want to connect with you and use some of your service, like what's the best way to just follow you moving forward from this episode?
For sure. So, guys, you can find me on Instagram. Mendez Fitness is where I do bulk of my stuff. Facebook, Anthony Mendez Fitness. You can also find me on YouTube, Mendez Fitness. You can also email me at mendezfitnesspro@gmail.com. And then you can also find our Sweat It Out podcast on Apple and Spotify, Sweat It Out podcast, our YouTube Sweat It Out podcast, and our Instagram is sweatitout.podcast.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
That's why I let him take care of that part.
I hit the doubles.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. That's the best place to find me.
Awesome.
At the MVMT Coach. My website is the same thing, the MVMT Coach. My Facebook, if you guys are looking for me, is Josh Evans.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes because
Awesome.
I found you easily, Anthony. I was looking for you, Josh. I put your name in, which obviously is kind of
Just
a
go to my
common name.
picture, click the tag
Yeah.
with Josh, and
Super
you'll be right
common,
there.
yeah.
Boom. Love
You'll
it.
see me
Awesome.
shirtless with like a steel mace in my hand. So
Perfect. I got it. Guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I wish you guys all the best.
Appreciate that.
I hope that in the future I can have you guys on again to talk about building a brand and how you built your podcast.
We'd love
obviously couldn't cover two topics today, but I would love to pick your brain on how you've built your brand from just being trainers in a gym to building because we all know that there's a lot of people that just struggle with that transition, and so they're stuck for their whole lives doing that. And I would love to dive into that one day. So thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate you on a Friday, just sharing your wisdom. Thank you. And hope to see you guys again soon.
And we'll have you on next.
Yes. Anytime. Let me know. I'd love to.